It started like any other training day at the shooting range: safety briefings, gear checks, and the usual whispers behind backs. But the tension in the air wasn't from loaded weapons. It came when she walked in, a quiet black woman, dressed plain, no military badges, no introductions, just calm eyes and steady hands. The moment she picked up a rifle, the snickers started. Among them stood a high-ranking U.S. general, known more for his arrogance than his aim. He scoffed, crossed his arms, and muttered just loud enough, "Be good." Others laughed. To them, she didn't look the part, didn't look like someone who belonged there. But what they didn't know was that this wasn't her first time holding a weapon. Far from it. Years before this moment, she had served in silence on missions most classified, under names never spoken, with precision few could match. She had earned a reputation, not through medals or headlines, but through the quiet respect of those who saw her in action. The very general mocking her. He had unknowingly read reports, praising a sniper whose work saved lives in the shadows of war zones, never realizing she was the one. What happened next flipped the room's energy in seconds. Because when she finally raised that rifle, everything changed. The mocking stopped. The silence was deafening. And one by one, jaws dropped, not because of who she was, but because of what she did next. This was no ordinary woman. This was the legend they never saw coming. Everyone at the range had their eyes locked on her now. No one laughed anymore. Even the general, arms still folded, leaned in just slightly, maybe curious, maybe uneasy. The woman adjusted the scope, calm as ever, her breathing slow and measured. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. The rifle was just an extension of her. But behind that silence was a storm, years of being overlooked, dismissed, questioned. She had worn different uniforms in her time, answered to code names, and disappeared from files that didn't want to acknowledge what she really did. Of her records, classified, most of her kills, uncredited. But those who mattered, knew. The general had no idea he was standing across from a sniper once nicknamed the Phantom. In Afghanistan, she was the one who cleared out an enemy camp with one rifle, no backup, and no mistakes. In Eastern Europe, her presence alone had changed the outcome of an operation. But each time, she walked away without applause. She never cared for recognitions, just results. Now, back home, she was just another face in a crowd. And she liked it that way. But the general wasn't used to being outshot or outshined, especially not by someone he underestimated. And as she gently squeezed the trigger, something told him he might have made a very big mistake. Still, he didn't know just how deep her story ran, or how far she was willing to go to remind the world exactly who she was. The rifle cracked, and the sound echoed across the range. One shot, then another. Each round hit dead center, tight grouping, zero hesitation. The silence after the final shot was heavier than the gunfire. The general's smirk was gone. He walked over slowly, checking the target with narrowed eyes. His jaw clenched. 10 bullseyes, no misses, no breathing room between them. And still, she stood there quietly, brushing dust off her sleeve like nothing had happened. Whispers spread through the group. Some were impressed, others confused. A few instructors exchanged looks, one of them mouthing asterisk, "Who is she?" The general said nothing, but his pride had taken a direct hit. He stepped closer, arms behind his back, voice low. "Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" She met his gaze calmly. "Places you've only read about." That answer hit harder than the bullets, and the general didn't like it. Not one bit. Later, in the base's control room, he ordered her background checked. The system flashed. Red access denied. Security clearance above his own. That unsettled him. Who had approved her presence here? Why hadn't he been told? Meanwhile, others began to talk. One young soldier, Marcus, had heard rumors about a female sniper who vanished off the grid years ago after a mission went wrong. Some said she was forced out. Others said she walked away before they could pin something on her. Either way, her reappearance wasn't random. And something told him she was here with a purpose. One that had just begun. The whispers turned into questions, and the questions soon reached higher up. That same night, the woman now known to a few as the Phantom was called into a private meeting, but she didn't flinch. She knew this moment would come. Sitting across the table was a colonel she recognized from years ago, one of the few who'd seen her in action and kept quiet. His eyes were sharp, but his tone was cautious. "Why now?" he asked. She gave a calm reply. "Because he's here, and he hasn't changed." Back at the range, General Rowe paced alone in his office. He couldn't shake the way she looked at him. That steady gaze, not of arrogance, but control. The kind of control that came from truth, from knowing something. He didn't, and that scared him. He had buried the past, covered up the mission that went sideways, blamed others when the real story could have destroyed his career. And now, somehow, she was back. Marcus, the young soldier, kept digging. He found a name, classified files marked only with code references and blacked out text. But one blurry photo confirmed his suspicion. She was the sniper from Operation Hallowwind, the one who had warned the team about the trap, the one no one listened to, the one who saved lives but was left behind in the report. Why was she here now? Marcus didn't know, but something told him the truth was about to surface. And General Rowe, he sensed it too. that his past was no longer buried. It was walking straight toward him, armed with nothing but the truth. The next morning, everything changed. A classified file was leaked anonymously to a secure military network. Just one document, but it was enough. It detailed Operation Hallowwind, unedited, unfiltered, and brutally honest. It named names. It revealed what had really happened during that botched mission. The ignored warnings, the flawed orders, the casualties, and at the center of it all General Rowe, his signature, his decisions, and one buried note from a sniper hours before the ambush, predicting the exact coordinates of the attack. It was her. The base went into lockdown within the hour. Security teams scrambled, meetings were called behind closed doors, and the general's office remained sealed. Meanwhile, she kept her usual pace, calm as ever. She wasn't hiding, she didn't need to. Everyone now knew she hadn't just shown up to prove a point. She came to expose something, and the leak, that wasn't random. She had help. Marcus had crossed a line. He had sent the file. He didn't care about the consequences anymore. After learning what she had gone through, after realizing how many had lied to protect themselves, he knew the truth had to come out. But what none of them knew, what not even she expected, was that the leak had triggered a deeper protocol. A shadow team from DC had been activated, not to investigate Rowe, but to silence anyone who could confirm the file's authenticity, including her. The real battle wasn't behind the scope anymore. It was coming face to face, and it was closing. In fast out, it all came to a head just before sunset. The base was unusually quiet. She felt it in her bones. Years in the field had sharpened her instincts, and tonight, they were screaming. She didn't go back to her quarters. Instead, she waited on the range, where it all began. The shadow team arrived, dressed like regular personnel, but their formation gave them away. Silent, coordinated, lethal. She didn't run. She stood in the open, unarmed, as if daring them to take the shot. But Marcus wasn't far. He'd intercepted a message confirming the hit order. He rushed to her side, heart pounding, voice shaking. "They're coming for you." She nodded once. "Calm. Let them come." But before they could act, a voice boomed from the command tower. Colonel Davis, the same man who'd once ordered her extraction. This time he had something more. Backup. The colonel had received the leaked files, verified them, and decided enough was enough. Dozens of soldiers moved in, this time on her side. The shadow team found themselves outnumbered, caught in a net of exposure and loyalty. General Rowe was escorted out, stripped of command, his face pale with disbelief. The truth had caught up with him, and no rank could protect him now. But just when it felt over, she walked past the crowd and handed the colonel a second file one no one else knew about. "This wasn't the only operation," she said. "There's more, and I'm not done." The room went silent again. The legend wasn't just back. She was just getting started. In the days that followed, everything changed. General Rowe faced a full investigation and was dishonorably discharged, his long-hidden decisions now out in the open. Soldiers who had once whispered about the Phantom now spoke her name with respect. For the first time, her service was acknowledged, not with medals or speeches, but with quiet nods, and doors finally opened. Marcus, once just a curious soldier, was promoted and assigned to work directly with internal military justice, using his voice to protect those who had been silenced for too long. She didn't stay on base much longer. She had never been one to bask in attention. But before she left, she gave one final statement to a small group of trainees. "Never let someone else write your story," she said, "especially when they weren't there to live it." Her words stayed with them, raw, real, and unforgettable. She wasn't just a legendary sniper. She was a survivor, a truth-teller, and a reminder that quiet strength often holds the deepest power. The second F.